it up for Ethio Mike. Oh, hey! First off, bro, how you living? How's everything going on with you? That's the first thing I like to ask. Well, I always ask every guest because, you know, we got to see how your well-being, how your mental state, how all that's going on first before we go ahead and dive into this conversation.
No, definitely. Mental health is key. I'm doing well. God is good. Blessings. Yes. And how are you, bro?
Bro, I'm great, you know, using this time right now, you know, like I say in every live, but like I said, it's the same, you know, keeping this time and using these times right now to just keep myself going, you know, manifesting, grinding, and having good people in my circle like you know, to talk to create, you know, have creative spaces, find creative spaces, and just, you know, grind.
Facts. The real health is our wealth, really.
Yes, that's right. But it's not about me. It's about you today. So let's go ahead and get into it and dive into it. So, Mike, I was telling people before you got on here, I had the pleasure, like, and the honor, I would say, the honor of, you know, going through this journey with you. I remember when me and you both were, like, freshmen. Like, we were these annoying freshmen just around acting goofy, doing anything. I don't even know how we met. I feel like both our energies probably just, like, united.
Legit.
And that just got stuck.
Like, it was meant to be, you know, God, it was our birthright, really.
Yes, it was like up and it was stuck, like literally. And, you know, we all went, you know, our different ways with, you know, life choices and different, you know, different things. Right. We're still in the family, if you get where I'm going at. Like, family, we're still in there.
Nah, no matter where we go, we fam.
That's right. But, you know, like I said, I remember the Ethio Mike. I remember the Mikael. That's the government name now. Come on. But I remember when you track. So the first question I have for you, before you got into, you know, photography, everything, what was your major and what were you interested in first? Like, I guess my question is, what got you interested in photography and what were you doing before then?
So really just going back into the depths of things, I started as an athlete. I loved running. I loved cross country. I loved track. I really wanted to be in Olympics. I was, you know, running being in my blood, being Ethiopian. I think that was really where was my definitive characteristic. Oh, that boy can run. And when I was on the soccer field, they were like, oh, that boy can run. Get his ass on the track. And I was like, oh, I bet. I'm gonna get on the track. Next thing you know, things started kind of went from here to there real quick. And they were like, yeah, we need you to go semi-pro. You know, then I got scholarships to Bowie. And then next thing you know, things started just working. Everything started fit. I got academic scholarship and like a track scholarship to Bowie. And then Bowie opened up a lot of doors for me, and I was always creative. That was always in the background, but athletics was always first and foremost. And I was actually a biology major going to Bowie. Nobody would know that other than like my close friends and close network, people outside of the States, and anybody who would see my work, you know, whether it's, you know, in the United States or Canada, they would never know that I was a biology major. Yes,
I mean, and shout out to all the biology majors first off, because let me tell you, I would see you just going to class. I see you in a white lab. So I'm like my Ethio, Mikael. You're like,
yeah.
Man. I'm like, what's good? And you be moving, so you can run. But Ethio, let me tell you something. You can walk because you already know on campus, especially since Bowie's small. He's like, okay, I can sleep until like 7:50, even though class started at 8. But I can speed walk all the way to, you know, the biology building or whatever building it was in at the time. Because, you know, we went through the whole reconstruction phase when it came to Bowie State University. But like you said, start off as a biology major and fast forward into photography. When did you pick up your first lens and what got you, you know, interested in, you know, doing this as a career thing? Because I tell people, you know, we talked about this before, your degrees in biology.
Exactly.
And some people are like, oh, I never get in my craft is never sometimes end up with what my degree was in. But sometimes if, you know, that could be a backup plan, and that's what you did. So what got you interested in photography?
Really, I just believed in myself, and my creative abilities. I thought, okay, so I'm a creative, but I'm running track and cross country. Who knows what, you know, I didn't want to limit my possibilities. So what really, I guess, was the turning factor and the turning point was one time I was at a track meet and I was really focused on getting in the race. And I realized, like, you know, I was drawing, like I had a sketchbook and whatnot, like while I was like at the track meets. And I was always like, why don't I just do both? And then I was joining a fraternity. I can't really talk about what point I was in at the time, but you know
the wrong side. But like I said, it's still love though.
I was still in the process, you know what I mean? So I honestly was going through the process of going, whatever. And yeah, I was really just thinking about progressively, thinking about 5 years from now, where would I be? Like, do I really want to hone in on the photography? Do I want to well, I wasn't even doing anything creative at the time. Or I was like, do I want to hone in on this track on the running career, or do I want to hone in on my biology career? So I was like, okay, let me just focus on biology. Let me just focus on my schoolwork. The track career, I didn't see it, coming to fruition the way I wanted it to. And then I didn't have any sponsorship deals. And like a lot of people were ahead of me because I didn't really start, when I was a young kid. There's people, coming out the womb running, and I'm starting high school. So I felt like I was at a kind of like backtracking. So I was like, okay, maybe I need to tap into my creative career. That's something that I wanted to do. So as I joined, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Epsilon Sigma chapter at Bowie State University, I ended up, getting a camera from one of my older profiles. He said, here's a camera, just go and shoot. And I'm like, wow. And it just gave me that, propelled me to do what I would love to do. I just didn't have the means of doing it at the time.
Wow, so it all started with someone just saying, like, you having already that creative niche and someone just giving you that resource. And with that, you just took off.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, Ethio, I never knew that. I never knew that. It was like, Ethio, hey, man, before you go to the track, go ahead and take a camera. And that's crazy. So explain to me your first shoot, if you can remember that first time you just, your first shoot. How was it? What was it like?
I honestly, the person I remember the most vividly was my friend Bree Lou. I was shooting with her at a park, and I had this like orange flash, and the pictures in my head were like, they were coming out amazing. Looking back at them now, I'm like,
maybe
but
not.
We were having so much fun. I was like, creativity and like photography is really just problem solving. So, how can we bring this vision to life? What steps, do we have to take in order to create this perspective? So, bro, Photoshop my BT. Yeah, he's hilarious. Dreamy Alpha in the building. I'm looking at the comments.
I couldn't see the comments. What's up, Dreamy Alpha? Shout out to
Jeff. So really, just while we were going through the process of shooting, I realized, okay, let me do this, let me do that, and then we got this vision. So I was like, okay, wow, this whole creative element, just creative process is just problem solving at the end of the day. So I realized I can take my skills from athletics and I can take my skills from biology and input that into my creative ability, and it that would just take me further, and I don't have to rely on just a major. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's one thing I tell people too, because some of us are blessed to be in our field of what our degree is in, and some of us, our degree, like you said, is something that we have. So it could be a secure job when things get rough. But I tell people always go for like your craft, your niche, if you're really serious about it. And like Mike said, he found ways to bring in biology, bring in his track, bring in his athletics, bring all those aspects, which some people wouldn't even think that. How does biology tie into photography? How will track tie into photography? But all these elements and different things you learn with different things can tie into one. So I want to go ahead and start and dive into when your career started taking off. What do you think really kickstarted your career?
There wasn't a particular moment that really kickstarted my career. I think I built my career on like consistency and working and growing each day, and as Will Smith said, like laying down the brick as perfectly as possible each day. And then soon over time you'll develop a wall. And I was just, each day I would plant seeds and things will grow, and then the tree of connections will build, and I would say, okay, I have a connection with this person, but this person knows this person, and then hey, I know Kyle, he just happens to be an entertainer. He happens to be, he's about to be a celebrity mogul. I just happen to be his friend. So it's just like
same to you, same to you, Ethio.
Yeah. Really appreciate that, bro. But that's really just how it happened.
Yeah, you definitely had a lot of viral moments too, especially from the jump in college. Like I feel like photography was lit, but like I feel like you're the first photographer that I really got to watch develop and like grow personally. There's a lot that I know that who have done great things, amazing things, but I've really seen you from like pictures from like the everyday lifestyle, and then when you started really diving into like doing like a lot of Greek life and tapping into your visual artist side, because you can be a photographer, but like I put on here, like you're also a visual artist too, because of, the key things you come about to create different creative pictures and shots, and finding different ways to be visual with lighting and different things. You picked that up from the jump, and especially a viral moment I like to talk about is my graduation pictures.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
I feel like that's when it was like, oh, okay.
Let's talk about it.
That day when I asked you to do my graduation pictures and you were able to, like, it was like I was challenging you and you were challenging me. And I was like, okay, this what happens when two creators come together. Because sometimes two creators, it can be kind of like a, because we both have our own vision, but you're easy to work with. You're not difficult at all. And you know, you compromise as well. But when you came up with my graduation picture and we came with the ideas, like with the boot kicking off the ears so authentically, that was so organic. That was not edited. I feel like that was, you know, that was getting a lot of attention as well. And then you were doing a lot of other grad shoots and a lot of behind the scenes of different, you know, block shows and everything. And I feel like, you know, you were tapping into your HBCU, which, you know, people, you realize your first love, the place that, you know, birthed you and the place that molded you. And I feel like that was a smart key thing you did from the jump was, you know, diving into your HBCU. And, you know, it was HBCU Buzz. It was, you know, it was it's all these HBCU pages, you know, that you were on, HBCU Pride Nation. And that really developed you and helped you grow. But graduating, let's get into post-grad life. How was graduating? And, you know, okay, I have my degree, but I don't know if I want to do what I want to do with my degree, but I still have my love for photography. So how were you able to juggle that to still be consistent to this day?
Well, with work, you know, just like leaving Bowie State was a very pivotal time in my career, because it was, okay, do you want to work? Do you want to, you know, tap into your creative career? Like, you know, and I really believe that in life that the biggest risk in life is not taking one at all. So I took the risk on my career and creative career, and I just took the initiative to create for myself, do different projects with different people, collaborate, and still keep that HBCU connection with me. I'm currently working on something that was very similar to what I did with what I did at Bowie State, which is create a network with like creatives and photographers, and kind of like use, you know, kind of like, I guess, apportion and facilitate how I you know, govern different events, and like how many photographers I would need for an event, and contract other people and break bread with the community, instead of the, you know, garnering positive relationships, instead of like garnering the stigma of the DMVs. You know, everybody is against each other. Why not work with each other?
No, you're definitely right though, and you have, like, people realize a lot of things you do behind the scenes, and some things you talk about, some things, you know, you want to keep to yourself, that you've done to really help a lot of people within your school, within your HBCU, within your community as well. And one thing you talked about was risk. What would you say was the biggest risk you've taken so far within your photography journey?
I would honestly, me going to different places and like creating in different states. I went to Atlanta recently and had the opportunity to shoot like a lot of people and made a lot of connections. But I would have never, you know, had the almost the, I guess, that inner faith. If I didn't just jump. Even with photography in general, if I never jumped in the water, I wouldn't have learned how to swim. You know what I mean? So like sometimes you just gotta jump in and not know how to swim, just learn after the fact. I invested a lot in equipment and just spending a lot of money. And you know, that kind of forces you to make those risks and do the things that you're uncomfortable with. Sometimes, like, even just leaving home, there's like, that's almost like the concept of leaving your family's home when you're growing up. You always know that your family's gonna love you. There's unconditional love, but you want to leave that space and leave that area because you know that's too easy. There's no growth. Growth is not gonna come from comfortability. So I was like, I need to get out. I need to do something else. And of course, COVID made. Well, let me not say during these unprecedented times. I don't want to get no trigger words. During these unprecedented times, I realized, you know, it's a little bit more difficult to move. But you know, as soon as things start to die down, I'll definitely be on different moves. LA, Atlanta's, the Miami's, the Houston's, you know. So I think I'm taking more risks as I go. But the biggest risk in life is really just not taking one at all. So yeah,
that's right. Because Ethio's taking all over the world. Hey, yes. No, you really are, bro. Like you said, it's just taking our risk. And right now, yes, of course, during these, you know, these times, things are kind of on a pause. But like you said, there's ways of still finding things to do creatively, like you said, visually, you know. and finding cool things to do. And you said like you were able to go to Atlanta, you were able to
Yeah.
meet certain people, and I
Yeah.
want to talk about certain people you were able to connect with,
Yeah.
and build a brand with. And you worked when you were in Atlanta. We'll start off. You got to meet Rubi Rose. How was it working with her?
Yeah, it was honestly an amazing feeling. Knowing that she's from my, just coming from a heritage of culture myself, of being Habesha, it
Yeah.
was great to meet her, just great to speak with her. She was really down to earth and amazing. She literally sat me down and said, talk to me, and just put down my camera. And I was literally telling her about my whole life. She was like, oh, are you based in Atlanta? I said, I can be if you need me. And then we just developed a relationship where it's like, okay, now if I go to certain places, then and she's there, it's almost like that face factor. When I seen her again in Virginia, she was like, oh, yeah, Mike. I'm like,
Wow.
yo. And
Like,
I
you
was
know me?
hyped, like God just made a way, and I just surrendered myself to a higher calling. And sometimes God just has the how for you. You just gotta do it, and He'll figure out how later.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like I said, that's just a organic moment for you both to be Ethiopian, and then
Yeah.
also this with your personality. I think with anything that everybody does, like it's all about your personality at the end of the day, because we all do the same thing. There's room for all of us, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes what gets us to the next level or that next step is
Mm-hmm.
authenticity. And I say that all the time, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy uses this word so much. But every
Yeah.
time I talk to people, I connect with people. That's the one thing that they say is what's
Yeah.
got them so far was the authenticity, and this being
Mm-hmm.
their own self and knowing that there's room for everybody. But also another person you got to work with, Bernice Burgos,
Yeah.
also Lovely Seven. So explain, that's someone you're actually, you're kind of recently and consistently working with,
Mm-hmm.
with Savage Fenty.
Yeah.
Congratulations for getting close
Definitely.
to Savage Fenty now. All right, now
Definitely.
you hit these big brands and you're working with these big people, but how was it
Mm-hmm.
being Seven, and how did all that connect? Because I've seen you done things for her YouTube channel, a lot of things with that. So explain to us how that came about.
With Seven, it was honestly, I was her BTS photographer at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I met one of her, like one of her business partner, which she was working with at the time. I was at a Good Life cookout, and I met, that person. That person said, "Oh, okay, well, I saw that you're taking great pictures. You're linking, you're connecting. I love your energy." And they invited me to come to the studio and do some BTS. Mind you, I wasn't really a videographer at the time. This is when I
Yeah.
first really started. I didn't really know the ins and out of the industry. I was just like a young kid trying to create,
Yeah.
and just not knowing the dynamics. I just hopped in there, not really knowing anybody, just working, and I was minding my black business, as I said in
Come
my
on.
recent caption. I just came in there, went straight to work. They noticed me. They were like, "Who's this little kid with a camera? He knows what he's doing."
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, I low-key kind of didn't know what I was doing, but I knew what
You
I was
played the
doing.
part.
I played the part, and I played my part well, and things started opening up for me. And then, of course, I took a picture of Seven, and she ended up posting it, making her a profile picture, and then we started developing a connection where she, we wanted to create again. She was like, "Oh, I love your work," and then that, how like the industry sometimes you don't develop genuine connections, but I can
Yep.
genuinely say like I love and cherish her, like that's my friend. Like I just got off the phone with her. Like, it's crazy.
Wow. And like I said, you can tell with that too, because even like through where I watch some of my YouTube videos, like behind the scenes, it's like,
Mhm.
you hitting the whoa. And I feel like one thing that's a signature for you that I think also was a key sample in like your growth was your signature whoa. So can we get a whoa real
Yeah,
quick, Ethio, a little Ethio whoa? Because you
yeah.
would hit a fire picture and hit the whoa. And I was like, okay, now that's Ethio. That's the Ethio I remember
Hmm.
from freshman year, the little goofy dancing Ethio.
Yes,
And
sir.
that changed. And that's what you said. You stayed true to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Stay true to your craft. You mind your own black business, and look
Yeah,
what's all been
dig.
coming your way. But yeah, I think that whoa has definitely been like a key thing that people actually like doing things with you too. Because you can't take a picture without Ethio if he doesn't hit the whoa. You can like have a
Yo,
little
really?
story like, I'm like Ethio, what are you doing?
Yo.
But it's you. But
Hmm.
another question I have: when you're growing, you have these artists. You're realizing your worth. These artists are realizing your worth.
Hmm.
So when it comes to pricing as a photographer,
Mm.
explain to us
Mm.
how that step came about. Your prices. As you grow, yeah, your value grows with it as well. So explain to us that process of knowing your worth when it comes to like pricing and what to charge and what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, pricing is definitely a sketchy subject with creatives in
Yeah.
general, just with
Yes.
anyone. Like, you have to know your worth. I think for me, knowing my worth stems from just knowing that poverty ends with me and wealth begins with me, being a
Yeah.
first generation, not only just just student, but just first generation in America. Like my family came here when I was young, so
Wow.
I want to build a life for myself that sustain a life for my family. So
Yeah.
I don't have a choice. Wealth has to begin with me. I don't have a choice but to charge a certain amount and to know my worth, because time is the real money at the end of the day. Time is the real currency. So if we don't manage, our time and just give ourselves to everybody, we'll be nothing to ourselves. So, and as we said, like, mental health is key. Like, that's the true wealth. So I just try to maintain a certain, level of not only just pricing, because it can wear you down to just be available to everybody and create for everybody, and you won't even be able to create for yourself.
That's right. And I feel like the people who are understanding and want to grow with you in your journey will understand. And as you grow and as your value, increases, sorry. Some people don't get it, and some people can't go with you throughout that journey. And it's like, you know what? I appreciate the time we had. Maybe along the road we'll understand and we'll come back and I'll take a picture. Let's make sure the price is right, and you go ahead and pay that price. Come on.
Yes, sir.
But yes, another thing about credit, when I see a lot of things with photographers, I see it sometimes when they work with a lot of important individuals and big influencers and brands. Sometimes they get paid for the job, and then, they want the credit, but sometimes they don't get the credit. And that credit I'm talking about is being tagged. Like, you have a blessing of building that relationship with Seven and people who tag you on posts, but some posts of celebrities, you get that great shot. You're like, I know they're gonna tag me, they're gonna get my credit. But a lot of photographers sometimes do not get that credit. So what is some advice you could give to a photographer that you dealt with, working with a main talent or something that didn't tag you? How did you deal with that?
I honestly, the biggest, when I first started, right?
Yeah.
I was at Yard Fest, and I didn't actually have a media pass, but I went through the whole crowd of Yard Fest. And mind you, that took about 45 minutes just to get halfway. Yeah. So I pushed through the whole crowd. People are drinking, people are, indulging in different activities. And I'm me just with a camera, like, trying to act like I'm somebody trying to get through with this baby little camera. I'm over here trying to get a picture of, like, Rick Ross performing. I get through everybody. Use this. I had a 70-300 millimeter lens. I had a sniper, and people pushing me, fighting me. Finally get the shot, click. I post it. The next day, I wake up. My photo is on Rick Ross's page. Wow. Mind you, there's other photographers in that same area, but he used my photo. And I was so perplexed as to why this man didn't tag me. I'm like, yo, you know how much work I did? And I'm like, come on, man. And I actually emailed him, like, yeah, I'm going to sue you.
Wow, that Rick Ross? He was like, all right.
He's like,
okay.
Yo, and I'm like, I legitimately was like, at first I gave him a warning email. I said, me not knowing what to do at that point in time, but now, of course, it's a totally different spectrum. Like, there's contracts in place. Yeah. Make sure you just have that conversation with the client. Make sure you're having the conversation with the person that you're working with. If it's for exposure, then it's then that has to be communicated, and I think communication plays a big part in it. You have to have the conversations that are hard to have. You're like, hey, so in turn, if I'm doing this for you, I expect this. And if that's not even said or even communicated or legally bounded, like, you can't expect somebody, you can't have any sort of ramifications if you don't say it up front or have any sort of legal just binding words or
contract or documents to let you know that if you post this, I'm gonna need the tag, even if it's at the bottom in the caption.
No,
I'm gonna
really.
need some credit. So, like you said, at first when you first started, you were like, okay, I'm suing Rick Ross.
Yeah.
Ethio with my non-media pass is going to sue Rick Ross. But like you said, you grow, you learn the business, you understand the business, and you learn from your mistakes, so it won't happen again. Because photographers, y'all go through a lot with the, trying to get in the door, paying for equipment. And one thing we'll talk about is the editing process. Explain to us how the editing process is for photographers, because it takes hours, and sometimes we want a fast turnaround, but we don't understand, like, it takes time. So what is usually, like, your quickest turnaround for editing, and how is your editing process when it comes to photography?
So when working with clientele, generally it could take about 10 to 14 business days for any images, and usually it can take longer, but like, you can see somebody in the comment section saying editing is the worst. Yes, but if you manage your time properly and you get client work done in a timely manner, then you can work on your own creative work. But all of it is art. So your art, based on the art that you create and the canvas that you paint on, and the paintbrush that you use to paint on the canvas is different when you finger painting and you have an actual, Wacom tablet like
Yes.
like that I have right in front of me. Like,
come on, because you always working, always editing, always got something going on.
some people edit with a mouse, and then other people edit with something like this.
Okay.
And they would use like something like this to write on. And using a mouse can like take you 10 times longer. So any creators that are out there, use a Wacom tablets for retouching. That's just a tip for me, just because I have it right in front of me.
No, but yeah, I've seen you in your editing process, of course, through college, but like when your career really kicked off and you had several deadlines, and Ethio don't sleep. Ethio is always grinding, and I'd be like, Ethio, I understand, but I'd be like, Ethio, take a nap, chew out. See, he's drinking his Gatorade right now, getting them electrolytes up. But I've seen your editing process, and I was like, wow, no, this is serious, because sometimes we don't understand. I'm like, it's so detailed, and to make sure you blend, to make sure it's lighting. I'm thinking, well, I can just go on, an app or Instagram and just get a filter and edit. But no, to have quality work, which your work is, like you said, it's so in depth. So that's what I wanted to, get your input on the editing process. As we see, we have some photographers. I see a hope that are in here that can relate. But you talk about videography. Can we see Ethio doing videography, or he's strictly photography?
Oh, absolutely. I see myself doing more so directing and handling overseeing a process and overseeing the actual event, or even if it's not an event, if it's a music video or something being captured, or just even a film. Who knows? Of course, I didn't go directly for school for this, but there's millions of, there's hundreds, let me not say millions. There's about hundreds of thousands of creatives out there who are doing things that at a very high level, high performing level, and definitely don't have a degree in nowhere near anything creative.
It's just that craft, that niche that you had, and that creative ability that seed that was planted in you, and you just watered it and had other resources to help water it and soil it and help it grow. But I want to say, what do you think has made you stand out so far as a photographer? Like, what do you think has made you relevant to this day? Like, why would people love working with Ethio? Like, why?
I think it's truly just my energy and my drive to create for myself, and my drive to create for others and bring their visions to life. I think that I have this overall, my defining characteristic is my discipline and my ability to work with people and find a happy medium between me and the client. Because not even just with the client, sometimes me and the model, or me and whoever I'm collaborating with. And I think I have an ability to always keep everybody else in mind. And I think that consciousness helps me create for the community as well. We're going through difficult, unprecedented times. We're all going through different things. And I just want to be the voice for the people, and be the voice for not only the people, of course, but stemming from myself as well. So I think it's unique when artists create for not only themselves, but for others. And I think I keep in mind, and I'm conscious of the community. So I think that what sets me apart. And I think I like to create quality things, and I like my name to be synonymous with quality creative content. So I can inspire others to do the same, and we can all just build together.
We can eat, and I like how you said collaborating, because I feel like collaborating with like brands, artists, photographers, anybody in your field helps you grow as well, because you can learn from others. And so I want to talk about collaborating with different photographers, because you take dope pictures, but I'm sure there's times like graduations, Ethio's birthday. How is it when you're getting your picture taken? Like, who do you go to? How is it collaborating with people when you want quality pictures? Because you're taking them, but when you're in front of the lens, how is it working and trying to find that right photographer to make sure they give you the quality work that you put out as well?
Yo, you're asking some amazing questions, bro.
What I do.
I really appreciate that.
You
understand? Stemming from just a background of just liking to take pictures, I really felt as though I love what photographers did when they took my photo. They made me feel like bigger than life. They made me feel like, wow, like I'm somebody that you would take a picture of. That's amazing. Like, people even to this day, like, oh my God, you would take my picture. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what?
Yeah.
And it feels good. Like, you're like, wow, you're capturing this moment in my life. That's something you can't put a price on. So
Mhm.
I think I genuinely just enjoy it and I love it. And just going back to the question of just working with other photographers, I know that they love it too. So it's just like, wow, like we genuinely enjoy, and collaborating is so important, because like just giving your gift away is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Creating with others, and even when it's not necessarily monetary, I think we talked about this. Like, a lot of amateurs make money on the front end, but experts make money on the back end.
Okay.
They
Yep.
they come, taking that picture of me. Who knows? 10 years down the line, if I have ability to connect them with somebody that they will need in the future, them taking a picture that 10 years ago is always going to come back. So just put forth the effort, and things will always plant those seeds, and things follow. Like, the trees
Yep.
will grow as long as you water them. They will grow.
Exactly. See, I was so glad, like this platform right here, the Millennial
Yeah.
Discussion, collaborating with different other millennials creatives to, like, give awareness on what they do, what I can learn from them, what they can learn from me. And no, that was a lit answer though. But like, Ethio's always working with somebody, collaborating with somebody, and I know like sometimes it'd be hard when it's like, okay, now I need the services done for me. But like you said,
Yeah.
if you keep that collaboration, that network together, you'll get to see
Hmm.
other people's work. But the
Hmm.
last question I do have for you for
Yeah.
tonight, before we go ahead and wrap it up,
Yes, sir.
so, well, two questions. I
Hmm.
always ask every special guest this, because I feel like there's someone in here who always needs some advice. So what is some advice you could give to an up-and-coming photographer who is just trying to make a way when it comes to getting equipment, establishing their brand, getting their brand solidified? What is some advice you could give to them? That's my first question.
I personally, coming from me, this is like, as much as people say invest in yourself, it's so key that you do so.
Yeah.
At the time when I was in college, like junior in college, when I first started, even though I was given a camera at one point, I in that camera actually got stolen, and
Woo.
in turn, I purchased another camera that was about 4 times the price of that, and then I started investing even further. So I spent about $30K while in college.
Wow.
That's not, and I just bet on myself. So, like I said, jumping in the water and not knowing how to swim,
Come
just
on.
bet on yourself. Just put in that faith. Even if you don't have the money, just put in what you can, and you'll see that as long as you water your seeds, they will grow.
Yes.
I'm gonna keep saying that, because, and also just surrender yourself to a higher calling, really. Once you have like a higher faith in yourself, and you know that that's gonna, things are gonna, you reap what you sow, and that higher faith will take you for places you would never, in rooms that you never thought you would ever even thought
Yeah.
that you would be in. And I think that's as a creative and a photographer, I think that's essential. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of any other advice. Try to figure out what you want to be known for.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to be synonymous with? Find a niche. I feel like I found my style. Like, it's really vivid and colorful. Images pop. Makes you feel something. There's rarely where you will ever see any of my images being black and white.
Mm-hmm.
It's very rare you'll see me, shoot certain images or just certain content.
Yeah.
I just equated myself with a certain thing, and people, my clients or people that bigger brands will reach out and say, hey, I want those images because you create a certain feeling. There's been companies that bought my images for, they're paying me to this day, like on a monthly period. Like the
Yes.
TV networks, like Aspire TV has reached out and used some of my images, just because they're like, wow, we love who you are as a person. We love your images. We love what you're portraying in the images. And they will pay for it. People will buy into you if you buy into yourself. So
Yeah.
invest into yourself.
No, Ethio, and that's why, like, this is when I say,
Mm-hmm.
how does your circle look like of friends? This is one
Yo,
person in my circle. Like, Ethio and I, we can be up all night sometimes,
no,
giving ideas. I'm like, Ethio, Ethio, you need to be doing this. I feel like this something would be great for you. Give you ideas, and you give me great ideas as well. But like, even like, I'm glad we were able to come together and find time for
yeah,
you to even come on here and take the time, because Ethan, you're dropping some gems, not even for anybody who's
bro.
interested in photography, anybody who's interested in being creative in whatever aspect in life. Like, I feel like all these tie into everything. Like, and like I said, there's room for all of us to eat. It's just you get these gems and you go ahead
Yeah,
and make it your own and find your own niche. And then you'll have your own section in the category. You know what I'm saying? It'll be a whole
absolutely.
cloud, a whole network of photographers, hosts, entertainment hosts, all type of people. It's like we have our own niche. It puts us in different things, and don't put our pride aside and like, let's collaborate. So my last question before we get on here, before we get off of here.
Yeah.
Ethio, what can we expect from you? Let's manifest something right now. What are you manifesting for next year? Because I'm not gonna lie, a lot of my guests on the Millennial Discussion, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm to my own horn. A lot of my guests go here and manifest a lot of things, and I look back and they're soaring. So let's go ahead and manifest something right now that you want to manifest for next year, or even this year, or in your lifetime, because it's gonna happen because you're gonna be OC, and we already know it.
I'm manifesting a magazine cover. I'm manifesting just overall taking over a city, working in a different industry, creating a company, a 6-figure company.
Yes.
An app where people can book other photographers through my company.
Yes.
And I'm manifesting a lot of things.
Come on, no, don't get too much. That's a good top 5 right there.
I'm manifesting for you too. We gonna all make it. We
about to make it. Yes. Hey, G,
I'm manifesting for everybody in here too.
Come on, we're gonna claim it. We're gonna manifest it, and it will happen. Again, Ethio Mike, Mikaela.
Yeah.
My God, thank you so much for being on tonight's Millennial Discussion. Before we get off of here, everybody make sure you follow him, connect with him. And if there's any photographers on here, I have some things coming up. So if you want to collab, please DM me if you're interested in collabing, get some content out there. I definitely have some things in the works that Ethio knows that I talked to him about. But you know, it'll come about when it comes about. But if there's any photographers who want to collaborate with me, we can work. Please DM me. Let me know what you do. Yes. And let's work. And make sure you follow Ethio to get your pictures out there because the guy is live. But before you leave, let's go ahead and do one more whoa. 1, 2, 3. Whoa. All right. See you, Ethio.
My brother. Peace.